So, 35.8 million people just had their digital front doors kicked in.
Yeah, it's a staggering
It
number.
really is. And if you are one of those people, Comcast basically has a $117.5 million checkbook just sitting open on the table right now.
Right, which sounds great, but it's complicated.
Exactly. So before we tell you how to claim your piece of that massive pie, and honestly, why doing absolutely nothing might actually be your best legal move here, do us a quick favor. Look right down at your device and hit that like button, subscribe, follow, and turn on the notification bell.
Yeah, please do.
Because we cover a lot of fast-moving ground on this show, and you really never want to miss an update.
Which is especially true when those updates involve situations where the floor can just, completely fall out from under you without warning.
Right. And speaking of fast-moving ground, before we get to the Comcast stuff, I want to give you all a really quick update on a story we've been tracking closely.
Oh, the AI case.
Yeah, the Martin Stevens versus OpenAI matter. I know a lot of you have been waiting for the other shoe to drop on that one.
Definitely.
But I can officially confirm that we are currently in a quiet period regarding a potential settlement.
Which is usually a good sign.
Exactly. And crucially, that dead man switch we talked about in the last deep dive, it has not been activated.
Okay, wow, that's a relief.
Right, which means as of right now, Martin Stevens is still safe.
It's a super tense situation. But the quiet period is usually a sign that the gears of negotiation are finally turning, behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly. But let's pivot from an AI legal thriller to a massive cybersecurity reality.
Right.
One that might actually put money directly into your pocket.
Yeah.
We are looking at a $117.5 million pot of cash, and it's all tied to the Comcast and Xfinity data breach settlement.
It's a huge deal.
It is. And today, we are breaking down a literal mountain of legal notices and court documents to answer 3 specific questions for you. First, do you actually qualify?
Which is a bigger question than it sounds.
Right. Second, how do you navigate the claims process before the incredibly strict August 14th, 2026 deadline? And third, what are the hidden catches buried deep in the fine print?
And to really understand what's in that fine print, we kind of have to look at the mechanics of the breach itself.
Right. Let's go back to the beginning.
So between October 16th and October 19th of 2023, a third party executed a criminal cyber attack on Comcast.
Just a 4-day window.
Yeah, just those 4 days. But over those 4 days, they gained unauthorized access to the systems holding the personal information of roughly 35.8 million Xfinity customers.
35.8 million. I mean, it's hard to even conceptualize a number that large.
It's massive.
It's more than the entire population of Texas just handed over to hackers.
Yeah.
And what really stood out to me as we were looking through the sources wasn't just the sheer volume of people.
Right. It was data.
Exactly. The specific cocktail of data they took.
Well, they walked away with a lot of the usual suspects, right? Like usernames, passwords, contact info.
That's standard breach stuff, yeah.
Exactly. And dates of birth. But then, in some instances, they also got partial Social Security numbers.
Okay, wait. I want to pause on the partial Social Security number part. Because I feel like a lot of people hear that and think, oh, they only got the last 4 digits, so I'm totally fine.
Yeah, people think it's no big deal.
But that's a really dangerous misconception, isn't it?
It is incredibly dangerous. The last 4 digits are actually the most vulnerable part of your SSN.
Wait, really? The most vulnerable?
Yeah, because the first 5 digits, they used to be assigned based on geography and the year you were born.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so if a hacker already knows your date of birth and your home address.
Which they also got in this specific breach.
Exactly. So they essentially already have the blueprint for the rest of the number.
It's like someone having the last digit of your bike lock.
Right.
On its own, that last digit is completely useless. But if they already know the first 3 numbers because they figured out your hometown and birth year from your Facebook profile, the lock just clicks open.
That is the exact mechanism at play here. It provides enough verification points for a bad actor to just start bypassing security questions.
On, everything.
Everything. Bank accounts, credit cards, you name it. And when Comcast publicly disclosed this breach in December 2023, affected customers understood that immediate threat.
And they took legal action.
Right. Which eventually consolidated into this massive class action lawsuit known as Hassan versus Comcast Cable Communications, LLC.
And the plaintiffs in that case argued the obvious, right? That Comcast just totally dropped the ball.
Yeah, pretty much.
They alleged inadequate data security, a failure to protect personal information, and they argued that this entire criminal cyber attack could have easily been prevented if Comcast just used reasonable industry standard cybersecurity measures.
And, as you might expect in corporate law, Comcast explicitly denies all of it. Right. They deny any wrongdoing, they deny liability entirely, and they maintain that their security was perfectly adequate.
Look, I get the baseline legal posturing.
Sure.
No corporation is going to walk into a courtroom and say, yeah, our security was terrible, totally our bad.
Never going to happen.
But the scale of this settlement completely contradicts that posture.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it's like a digital landlord leaving the master key under the welcome mat, and then when all 35 million apartments get robbed, they just stand in the hallway and say, listen, we didn't do anything wrong, our locks are state-of-the-art,
Right.
but hey, here is a $117.5 million pile of cash to make this lawsuit go away.
Yeah.
Like, why pay out that much money if you are so confident you did absolutely nothing wrong?
Well, because in the American legal system, taking a class action of this magnitude to a jury trial is basically a game of Russian roulette.
That makes sense.
The $117 million isn't an admission of guilt,
Yeah.
right? It's a calculated risk mitigation strategy.
Yes. They're just capping their losses.
Exactly. They pay this negotiated amount to avoid the catastrophic PR of a public trial, the astronomical legal fees of fighting it for years.
And a jury that might just hate them.
Right. The sheer unpredictability of a jury that might decide to award, like, billions in damages instead.
Okay, so Comcast caps their losses, and we get this massive $117.5 million pot.
Yes.
But wait, if 35.8 million people were breached, the math immediately looks really weird to me.
Oh, it does?
117 million divided by 35 million is like, what, $3 a person?
Around there, yeah.
How do they actually decide who gets a check?
Well, that brings us to the eligibility criteria. You are officially part of what they call the settlement class if you are a United States resident who has sent a specific data breach notification from Comcast.
Okay, when was that sent?
On or around December 18th, 2023.
So I can't just be like any random Xfinity customer who happens to be listening right now.
Correct. You have to be someone whose data was actually in that specific compromised batch.
Got it.
And to prove it, you need a unique settlement member ID.
Where do you get that?
This ID was sent out by Kroll Settlement Administration. They're the court-approved third party handling all the logistics.
Okay, so you need that specific ID number from Kroll to log into their official portal and actually file your claim.
Exactly.
All right, so let's assume you have that ID. You dig through your old emails, you find the notice from Kroll, you log on. What is the path of least resistance here for the average person?
The absolute easiest option is what the settlement calls the alternative cash payment.
Alternative cash, okay.
This is designed for class members who just don't want to dig through years of bank statements or prove active identity theft.
Right, people who just want to be done with it.
Yeah. You essentially just check a box online and you file for a flat $50 payout.
$50. Nice
Yeah.
and simple.
Yep.
But wait, going back to my napkin math from earlier,
There we go.
if 35 million people all log on and claim a flat $50, that's nearly $1.8 billion.
It is.
But the pot is only 117.5 million. Something has to give there.
You've hit on the massive catch in the fine print.
I knew it.
It's a legal mechanism called pro rata distribution.
Pro rata, okay.
But before we even get to the pro rata math,
Yeah.
you have to realize that the $117 million isn't actually just for the victims.
Oh, of course not.
First, the lawyers who orchestrated this entire lawsuit are asking for up to 1/3 of the entire fund.
1/3.
Yes. That is roughly $39.1 million taken right off the top just for attorney's fees.
Hold on, $39 million just for the lawyers.
Yeah.
I know class actions are complex, but taking a full third of the money meant for the victims feels incredibly steep. Why is that standard practice?
It basically comes down to the risk matrix of contingency law.
What does that mean?
Well, these law firms, they front all the costs of the litigation. The expert witnesses, the paralegals, the court fees.
Oh, so they pay out of pocket first.
Exactly.
Mm.
And if they lose the case, they get absolutely nothing and absorb millions in losses.
Right.
So the one-third cut is essentially the premium they charge for taking on that massive financial risk.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
And after the lawyers take their cut, you also have to subtract the administrative costs of running the settlement website and the service awards for the original plaintiffs who actually put their names on the lawsuit.
Okay, so the pie is shrinking rapidly before anyone even grabs a plate.
Precisely. What remains is called the net settlement fund.
Okay.
And because of that math you pointed out earlier, the $50 alternative cash payment is absolutely not guaranteed.
Right, because there's not enough money.
Exactly.
Mm.
If millions of people come forward and check that box, the net settlement fund would instantly run dry. So the agreement states that all payouts will be adjusted downward proportionally, which is pro rata, to make sure everyone gets a slice.
Even if that slice is like $5 instead of 50.
Exactly.
So if everyone affected actually pays attention and claims their $50, the fund runs out and nobody gets the full 50.
Yep.
That feels like a super high-stakes game of musical chairs, where the chairs keep shrinking while the lawyers take a third of the furniture right out of the room.
That is a perfect metaphor, honestly. The entire economic model of this settlement relies heavily on apathy.
Apathy.
Yeah, it relies on a huge percentage of those 35.8 million victims looking at the email from Kroll, thinking it's just spam and doing absolutely nothing.
Wow.
Because if they don't file, the pot remains larger for the people who actually do take the 5 minutes to claim their share.
Which is wild to think about.
It is.
But, okay, let's say a prorated $50 check isn't going to cut it for you. Because, as we discussed with the bike lock analogy, a leaked partial SSN can cause devastating real-world financial damage.
Absolutely.
What are your options if you actually lost real money or time dealing with this breach?
Well, if you have legitimate damages, you can skip that $50 alternative option entirely.
Okay.
And you can file a claim for what the settlement calls out-of-pocket losses. And the cap for this is significantly higher,
Hi.
up to $10,000.
10 grand. Okay, that is a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, it is.
What actually counts as an out-of-pocket loss, though?
The documentation is very, very specific here. The losses must be fairly traceable to the October 2023 breach.
Okay, like what?
This includes things like unreimbursed fraud charges on your accounts, the fees associated with placing or removing credit freezes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and miscellaneous expenses like notary fees, postage, copying, or even long-distance telephone charges incurred while you were trying to repair your identity.
What about people who took preventative measures?
What do you mean?
Like, when I hear about a breach, my immediate reaction is to just go buy credit monitoring. Does that count?
Yes. The costs of credit reports or credit monitoring purchased specifically after October 16th, 2023 do count as out-of-pocket losses,
Oh, nice.
up to that $10,000 cap.
Right.
But here is the critical hurdle, and honestly, it's where a lot of claims end up getting rejected.
What is it?
You have to provide, quote-unquote, reasonable documentation.
What does that actually mean in practice? Like, I can't just write a list of my expenses on a piece of paper.
No, absolutely not. Self-prepared documents or handwritten notes are explicitly not enough.
Okay.
The claims administrators demand hard proof from third parties, so bank statements, official invoices, credit card statements, or really detailed telephone records.
Why are they so strict about that? I mean, is it just bureaucratic red tape?
No, it's actually a necessary defense mechanism for them.
Against what?
Well, in recent years, class action settlements have been targeted by automated fraud bots.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, bad actors write scripts to submit thousands of fake claims just to drain the net settlement fund.
That's awful.
Right. So requiring official third-party documentation is really the only way the courts can verify that a real human being suffered a real financial loss.
That makes total sense, but financial loss is really only half the battle.
True.
Let me be honest with you. When I saw the news about this breach, I spent 3 agonizing hours on a Sunday afternoon just changing passwords on accounts I haven't even used since college.
Just pure paranoia.
Pure paranoia. The mental toll and the sheer hours spent sitting on hold with credit bureaus. Is there any compensation for that? Because you can't exactly get a bank statement for a ruined Sunday.
You're right, you can't. But the settlement actually accounts for this through something called the lost time benefit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You can claim up to 5 hours of time spent dealing with the fallout of the breach.
Okay.
And they value your time at a strict reimbursement rate of $30 per hour.
So that maxes out at $150.
Exactly. And you have to bill it in 15-minute increments.
Wait. I can literally bill Comcast for my Sunday password changing marathon.
Yes, you can. The legal language specifically includes time spent taking preventative measures to avoid fraud or identity theft.
That is amazing.
So changing passwords definitely qualifies. And because you obviously can't get a receipt for that time, you don't need third-party documentation.
Oh, so how do you prove it?
Instead, you provide a self-certified explanation of exactly how you spent the time, and you attest to it under penalty of perjury.
Penalty of perjury. Those three words always sober up a conversation.
As they should. I mean,
Yeah.
if you exaggerate your hours or submit a fraudulent timeline, you aren't just taking money from Comcast.
Right.
Because of the pro rata system we discussed, every fraudulent dollar you take is a dollar stolen directly from another legitimate victim in the class.
Right, because the pot is fixed.
Exactly.
So, gathering 3 years of bank statements, calculating your anxiety in 15-minute increments, finding your unique Kroll ID, I mean, it takes real concerted effort.
It really does.
Which brings us to the strict timeline you have to follow. And the fascinating question of what happens if you look at all this paperwork and just decide to ignore the whole thing?
Well, the timeline is the absolute backbone of this settlement.
Okay.
If you want to file a claim for cash, whether it's the $50 alternative payment, the $150 for lost time, or the $10,000 documented loss claim, the absolute non-negotiable deadline is August 14th, 2026.
August 14th, 2026. Highlight it. Circle it on your calendar.
Exactly. You must submit your claim online at comcastbreachsettlement.com or ensure your physical paperwork is postmarked by that exact date.
Okay, but you mentioned something earlier about people who do nothing. What actually happens to the people who miss that deadline or just, like, throw the notice in the trash?
This is one of the most interesting mechanics of modern cybersecurity settlements.
Yeah.
Even if you miss the August 14th deadline, or if you intentionally do absolutely nothing, you are still automatically eligible for a hidden benefit.
A hidden benefit.
Yeah, 3 years of a premium service called SciX Financial Shield Complete.
Wait, SciX, so they just, like, give you identity protection by default.
Yeah, by default.
What exactly does Financial Shield Complete actually do?
It is a highly robust suite of tools. It includes one bureau credit monitoring,
Which is standard.
right, standard,
Uh-huh.
but also continuous dark web monitoring to see if your partial SSN is being traded on hacker forums.
Oh, that's good.
Plus real-time authentication alerts, high-risk transaction monitoring, and this is the big one, $1 million in identity theft insurance.
Wow.
And you don't even have to submit a claim form to get this. The administrators will just provide individualized enrollment codes directly to the class members.
That is actually incredibly valuable. Honestly, 3 years of $1 million identity theft insurance might be practically more valuable than a pro-rated $12 check.
For a lot of people, yeah, it is.
But why would Comcast just give that away to everyone who doesn't file?
Because it's drastically cheaper for them. Oh, yeah. When a corporation like Comcast buys identity protection from a company like SciX, they aren't paying the $15 a month retail price that you or I would pay.
Oh, they get a discount.
A huge one. They negotiate a massive bulk licensing deal. It costs them literally pennies on the dollar to offer you that service.
Ah, I see.
Whereas cutting you a raw cash check pulls directly from that finite $117.5 million fund.
Okay, so doing nothing still gets you something, and it's cheaper for the company.
Right.
But what if you actively reject all of this? Because I know in class actions, there are always people who want to fight the battle themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you're referring to two distinct legal maneuvers,
Hmm.
opting out and objecting.
Okay, what's the difference?
Well, first, they both have a much earlier deadline, July 1st, 2026.
Oh, so a month and a half before the main deadline.
Exactly. Now, if you choose to opt out, you are officially excluding yourself from the settlement class entirely, which means you retain your individual legal right to sue Comcast yourself over this data breach at a later date.
But I'm guessing you don't get the settlement money.
Exactly. The
Mm.
trade-off is absolute. If you opt out, you get zero benefits,
None at all.
no cash,
Yeah.
and you don't even get the free identity protection services. You walk away completely empty-handed.
Right, so it's like walking out of a restaurant entirely because you don't like the menu.
Good analogy.
You go hungry tonight, but you reserve the right to eat somewhere else tomorrow.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
But what if you stay? You mentioned a second option, objecting.
Objecting is the middle ground. If you object, you stay in the class.
Okay.
You still get the identity protection, and you can still file a claim for the cash payouts.
So what's the catch?
The catch is you formally write to the federal court in Philadelphia to say you think the settlement is fundamentally unfair.
Okay, keeping with my analogy. Objecting is like sitting down, eating the meal, taking the free dessert, but sending a strongly worded letter to the chef telling him the soup was cold.
That is a remarkably accurate way to look at it.
I try.
By objecting, you are essentially telling the judge, before the final approval hearing, that you just don't agree with how the pie is being sliced.
Yeah.
You might argue that the attorney's fees are too high or that the $50 pro rata structure is just totally inadequate for a leaked Social Security number.
Which is a valid point.
It is.
Ah.
But again, you must submit that objection to the court by July 1st, 2026.
Okay, so what does this all mean? We've walked through the mechanics.
We have.
We know exactly how a partial SSN can unlock your life. We know the strict documentation required to actually get paid, and we know the dates you have to circle on your calendar.
Right.
But stepping back from all the claim forms, what is the ultimate takeaway for you, the listener, navigating this digital landscape?
Well, if we connect all these dots to the bigger picture of corporate accountability, it raises a profoundly uncomfortable question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just look at the economics of this ecosystem we just outlined.
Yeah.
The lawyers orchestrating the suit are requesting nearly $40 million.
Which is insane.
Right. The company gets to pay a fraction of its quarterly profits to legally wipe its hands clean.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the individuals whose actual Social Security numbers and private lives were exposed to the dark web, they might walk away with a prorated check for less than $50.
Honestly, when you lay out the math like that, it's pretty jarring.
It is.
The people who actually suffered the breach are the ones getting the absolute smallest piece of the pie.
Exactly. And we have to critically ask ourselves, is the class action system actually incentivizing megacorporations to fix their cybersecurity infrastructure? Or have we simply created a highly profitable microeconomy for the legal industry where your leaked personal data is just, well, the raw commodity that fuels the machine?
Wow. That is a heavy, provocative thought to leave off on.
Yeah, it's something to think about.
Are we actually punishing bad security, or have we just completely normalized data leaks as a cost of doing business?
Exactly.
Something for you to mull over as you dig through your inbox looking for that crawl settlement ID.
Indeed. Protect your data, understand the mechanisms being used against you, and, always read the fine print.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up today's deep dive into the Comcast data breach settlement. I want to look right at you, our listener, one last time. If you found this breakdown helpful, please take a second to hit that like button, subscribe, follow, and turn on the notification bell so you can catch our next deep dive the exact moment it drops. Until then, stay secure out there.